What's good, everybody? How y'all doing? So I just want to say first and foremost, I have only eaten an orange today, so bear with me when it comes to the energy department. God is going to have to help me through this one, which honestly, I asked him to help me through them all when I come to give a message or a word. So I'm still in Isaiah chapter 9, right? And we're finna cross over into chapter 10. But before I do, I still had to read verses 8 through 21 of chapter 9. And as I'm reading that last night, it kind of dawned on me that some of the things that are being said in chapter 9 also seems to be correlating with what's going on in California. Now, mind you this, guys, I don't care for the news, nor do I watch the news. But when things happen and stuff goes viral and it's trending, you're going to see things on your feed and you're just like, bro, how's this even popping up on my feed right now? But a lot of people are posting about what's going on in California, right? So I did a little looking and I was just like, okay, what's really happening right now? Now, yes, only certain sections of California are on fire. Now, it'd be crazy if the whole state was on fire. But it is only a small section. But it's still a lot of range for that small section. And if I remember correctly, I believe like 6 different fires have started so far. And a few have high percentages of being contained. But that still doesn't dismiss how many acres have been burned up and how many businesses and homes have been destroyed. Now, with what I'm about to get into, by all means, I'm not saying that God didn't freaking torched up California or a piece of it. And mind you, I really don't know how Californians live. So I don't know if they chase after God. I don't know if they openly rebel against God. I don't even know if they live lives contrary to how God desires us to live as people, as that which he created for a reason and a purpose. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. Now in Isaiah chapter 9, verse 8 says this: the Lord sent a word against Jacob, and it has fallen on Israel. And verse 9 starts off by saying, all the people will know. Now, I find it interesting that the verse 8 literally starts off by saying the Lord sent a word against Israel, against Jacob, and it has fallen on Israel. So that lets us know that God can send a word, and once it falls on the place which it's supposed to fall, the people will know. When God does a thing, and if this is an act of God towards California, there is no denying it. Now let's get back to verse 9. It says, all the people will know. Ephraim and the inhabitant of Samaria, who say, in pride and arrogance of heart. Verse 10 starts off by saying, the bricks have fallen down, but we will rebuild with hewn stones. The sycamores are cut down, but we will replace them with cedars. 11 says, therefore the Lord shall set up the adversaries of Rezin against him and spare his enemies on, the Syrians before and the Philistines behind, and they shall devour Israel with an open mouth. Now I find it interesting that certain sections of California are being devoured, not by people, like the Syrians and the Philistines, ahead and behind, but sections of California is being devoured by fire. Buildings made of brick being ate up. Trees that have no way to protect themselves being burned down. Now, a lot of people might be devastated right now because their homes are gone. Their businesses have been demolished. They don't even know what they're going to do next. But then you have some people right now who, no matter what's happening, all they're thinking is, oh, we're just going to rebuild it. There are some right now that's just saying, oh, we can bounce back from this. And it's not a confident thing. It's pride. It's arrogance. And these people most likely have no regard for God or the things of God. And whatever their businesses, their foundations, and their lifestyles are built on, it's not of God. So everything that they have built, they believe that they have done it in their own power, in their own might, and in their own strength. When in all reality, God is the provider of all those things. But have they regarded him at all? No. Now, verse 13 goes on and says this: for the people do not turn to him who strikes them, nor do they seek the Lord of hosts. So with everything that takes place on this earth, whether it's God's doing or not, there's a reason behind it. Now, the question is anybody in California right now crying out to God? Now, you might have prayer warriors who are praying, but the people that have been affected, the question is, do they know God? Are they crying out to him? Are they acknowledging him? Are they calling upon his name? Or are they looking to trust in everything else besides God? So verse 14 goes on to say, therefore the Lord will cut off head and tail from Israel, palm branch and bulrush in one day. The elder and honorable, he is the head. The prophet who teaches lies, he is the tail. And then verse 16 goes on to say, for the leaders of this people cause them to err, and those who are led by them are destroyed. Therefore the Lord would have no joy in their young men, nor have mercy on their fatherless and widows. For everyone is a hypocrite and an evildoer, and every mouth speaks folly. And then it continues to go on to say, for all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. And verse 18 goes on to say, for wickedness burns as the fire. It shall devour the briers and thorns, and kindle in the thickets of the forest. They shall mount up like rising smoke. Through the wrath of the Lord of hosts, the land is burned up, and the people shall be as fuel for the fire. No man shall spare his brother. Now, by all means, I'm not saying that God has done this to a people. I'm not saying that he has started a fire in California, because we know California is prone to having fires. But I find it interesting as I'm reading these verses and these scriptures that I'm seeing similarities happen. One of the biggest similarities would be all of the different plants that were named. And each one of those plants you can actually find in California. Some are actually indigenous. And a person might say, Anthony, come on now, you can find each one of those plants anywhere. You might actually be right. You could be 100% correct. But there is nowhere else in the world right now that it is catching on fire spontaneously. And that's just the truth of the matter. And then also with where I am, the completely different thing is happening. Instead of fire, it's snow. It's January and California is catching on fire. Make it make sense. So the biggest thing at the end of the day for me is, how is those people in California living? How are those around them living? Because if they are a people or a state that live almost in contrary to how God wants us to live, then anything is possible. They could be open to any type of attack. They can be open to any type of spiritual warfare. They can be open to any type of doctrines and also teachings. Now, even as I'm talking about this, I can be completely wrong about the nature of that fire. For all we know, a man could have started it. We never really know with this nation, because they do one thing and then they say another. And then if you look again at all the news and everything that's going on, which like I said, I don't really care for the news, nor do I keep up with it. But as I was looking about what's going on with these fires, I also seen a headline about there being an investigation of why the firefighter department's funds were cut by like 10 million or 100 million or something like that. Or why the fire hydrants did not or weren't full of water or something. One thing I have learned about this nation, one thing I have learned about this country, and we all know it, when something like this takes place, they always want to put somebody in the forefront to point the finger at, so that you won't pay attention to what's really going on. And now that's just the truth of the matter. So at the end of the day, could this be the doing of God? Or could this be the doing of man? Who would ever really know? But if you would like to know, always take things back to God. Like I said, I don't know verbatim that is what's going on. But as I was reading those scriptures, it seemed like some things were lining up. And God may just have sent a word to California. And that word may have just fallen upon it. And guys, those fires can continue. If they're not meant to be contained, they will not be contained. If they're meant to be extinguished, they will be extinguished. But another thing I have learned, if God wants a thing to happen, it will happen. And no devil in hell, no man on earth, or no angelic being can actually stop that from happening. Because God is still God at the end of the day. And if I also have to talk about something that'll make me look foolish, then by all means, I'll look foolish. But as I said before, take these things back to God. There's more points I wanted to hit on, but truly in my heart, I feel like it would have been fruitless. So if this is for somebody, it'll reach you. If it's not, it's not. And if I'm just talking, then I'm just talking. But anyway, y'all have a great and blessed day. And until next time, peace out. I love y'all.